The Washington Commanders held another training camp practice today here at the Big Bear AI Performance Center in Ashburn, Virginia, and competition is intensifying. But also with some of the injuries that are happening, it's causing Washington to kind of alter some of the plans that they have heading into Detroit's preseason game that'll be coming up Saturday evening. Now, when you look at this roster, there's several things that are going on right now that I think starting to get the attention of some people. With opportunities opening at running back and backup quarterback and several roster spots still unsettled, these final practices are no longer just preparation, but it's an opportunity for several players that could determine whether they make Washington's 53-man roster. Now, also, as far as just the position battles that you need to be paying close attention to, I think the reserve running backs, backup quarterbacks, and center competition, cornerback depth, as well as a couple of edge rushers are things that you should be looking at. And these final practices in the Detroit preseason game will carry considerable weight for who's going to make the roster. Now, I mentioned as far as the running back room, Jerome Ford was placed on injured reserve, which all effectively ends his campaign before it even started. And what does that do? Well, I think it's going to open a door for Rob Henry Jr. Rob Henry Jr. had a really nice game the other night against Miami in the first preseason game at home. And I think that the young guy is starting to get his feet under him, his legs under him. And if he continues to do so against Detroit, as well as joint practices in a preseason game against the Ravens, I think he's going to supplant Jeremy McNichols as the fourth running back on this roster. Now, we know Jeremy McNichols is injured right now, so he hasn't been participating in practices or the games, and I don't see him playing against Detroit on Saturday. So once again, that could open things up considerably for Rob Henry Jr. Now, Dan Quinn spoke with us before practice, and he talked about the injuries and some of the things that the team's going to be looking at going into Detroit.
Yes, I'd be comfortable with him and other veterans that have played to go, but we haven't decided in terms of will we or won't we. We had a joint last week. He got a lot of reps. He'll get a lot today and tomorrow going against our defense, so I'll have a better sense for where everybody is before we make any of those decisions. But he's thrown an incredible training camp. His accuracy, his command of it. A new system, you wouldn't feel like that for him. But I've been certainly impressed by what I've seen so far by him.
And it definitely, they took care of me and, helping me get the body right, but definitely felt like a missed opportunity to get some reps. Fortunately, we still have a couple more weeks of preseason and had plenty of opportunities to get mental reps. Was still able to do some walkthrough throughout the last couple weeks, with the offense, but that helped getting some IDs. So kept me locked in, which was great, and just going to have to fast track it a little bit and catch up.
And also on the injury front, Marcus Mariota is expected to miss all of preseason, and he is expected to be back for week 1 against Philadelphia if needed be as the backup quarterback. But he has an MCL sprain that he suffered in the Miami game. So again, this opens up the door for Sam Hartman and Ethan Kaliakmanis to also be able to show what they can do. Who could be the number 2 guy right now? Well, today Sam Hartman got pretty much most of the run with the second team, but I think people are looking at Kaliakmanis as the potential future backup quarterback, and maybe that process can get sped up a little bit. So we'll see how that plays out. And I think the big question now is, will Jaden Daniels play in this preseason game? Now, he was out here today looking sharp as always. He's had a really, really strong training camp. Looks better than I've ever seen him in the burgundy and gold. But do you want to risk the luxury of having your number 1 go out there in pretty much a meaningless football game? Now, it may not be meaningless as far as getting preparation, but when you only have, a guy in Sam Hartman who most people probably feel like shouldn't be on the roster, and then you have Kaliakmanis who's, just a month into his professional career, as a backup, do you want to push those guys out there? Well, these are the type of games that can give them reps and get them work and keep Jaden Daniels safe. But we'll find out what Washington's going to do. I would say this: if he does play, it's only going to be one series, whether they get 3 points out of it, whether they get 7 points out of it, or whether they, do something drastic and they get an interception or whatever. I could just see him playing one series, if that. So we'll have to see how that plays out as the week progresses as well. So we'll be back out here tomorrow. We're going to have a chance to see, some of the starters who were kept out today. We were told as far as some injuries that Adafe Owe was out, Caleb Von Chasen was out. But I do expect to see those guys ramp up everything for the Ravens, joint practice. Maybe not this Saturday against Detroit. I doubt that you're probably going to see a whole lot of people in Detroit. But I think against the Ravens in that joint practice, you're going to see it ramp up. And I think that's when you'll find out all the questions that you have for this football team. You'll get those answers against Baltimore, not in the preseason game against Baltimore, but in the joint practice. And that's not until next week. So we'll have a lot more here, from Commander's Park or the Big Bear AI Performance Center this week, giving you updates and recaps, as I've been doing, pretty much every day for training camp. So once again, for ESPN Radio, I'm NFL Insider Lake Lewis Jr.